Good Sunday morning. As I woke up to rain in the middle of the night and this morning, I'll be honest, I didn't know what I was going to be talking about, but the rain made me think of what's probably the most known story in the Bible. I mean, if you've never been to church, you've probably heard of Noah in the ark. Now, wait, don't leave. You should know by now this is going to be no typical Noah in the ark story. I'm not going to talk about the big boat or the animals coming 2 by 2 or the flood or the rainbow or the dove that found dry land. Now I know what you're thinking, Jill, that's pretty much the whole story. Well, okay, yeah. But there's also what happened after Noah built the boat, loaded the animals, the rains came, he saw the rainbow, he sent out the dove. And what happened next is my favorite part of the story. It's the part they never told us when we were in Sunday school. There was never a coloring book page about what happened next. We're told in Genesis 9, verses 20 and 21, after the flood, Noah began to cultivate the ground, and he planted a vineyard. One day he drank some wine that he had made, and he became drunk, and he laid naked inside of his tent. Noah got drunk and naked after the flood. I can't believe there wasn't a coloring book page about that part of the story. But then it goes on to say that one of his sons saw him naked. The other two covered him up with a blanket without seeing him naked. But when Noah woke up, he was embarrassed, and he cursed the son who saw him and blessed the two who didn't. This faithful man of God was still kind of messed up. And that gives me hope, because I'm a lot of times pretty messed up, but it tells me that God can still use me. And it also tells me that the story of Noah is so much more than a children's story. It's about how the people of earth broke God's heart with their complacency. But it was also about the joy that God found in this incredibly flawed Noah. Because even with all his flaws, Noah was still obedient and faithful. You know, so many times we call this story the Great Flood or Noah's Ark, but maybe it really needs to be called God's Rainbow, because even though the world was wiped out, God still gave the world a second chance through Noah and his family. In Noah's day, simply knowing there was an ark didn't save anybody. It was being in the ark that saved Noah and his family. And we have to be in the ark too. There was only one door into the ark, and there's only one way to be saved. Jesus is the door. Jesus is the ark. He rescues us from death. It's being in Christ that saves us. We're told in Matthew chapter 24, when the Son of Man returns, it will be like it was in Noah's day. In those days before the flood, the people were enjoying banquets and parties and weddings right up to the time Noah entered his boat. People didn't realize what was going to happen until the flood came and swept them all away. So what was it really like in Noah's day? Well, everything was kind of normal. In Noah's day, they weren't having orgies in the streets or drug deals in broad daylight or abusing babies. In Noah's day, they were enjoying parties. They were getting married. In other words, they were having a good life. It was kind of normal, but maybe that's the greatest danger we face. Before this virus, we were all living kind of a life of normalcy. But maybe we needed to start questioning that. Was it normal in God's eyes? Maybe God is calling us to build an ark. I heard it said that we ask God to do great things, and then we think it's strange when he tells us to build an ark. I believe that God is calling us to build an ark. He's calling us to live a life that's the opposite of normal. Now, I don't know what that means for you. It might mean giving up something that's perfectly innocent, normal by today's standards, but God is telling you it's not his best for you. It might mean rearranging your priorities and taking a stand against normal, perfectly acceptable things that use up too much of your time and don't leave you enough time for God's work. It might mean a complete change in lifestyle. I don't know. But I know all these things are hard. I know it can be it can't be easy to take care of these big things. It's a whole lot harder to build an ark when there's no sign of rain on the horizon. But I do believe that God is calling us to the hard places. He's calling us to make Noah's Ark our story. And it's a lesson for adults, not just a children's story anymore. So use this time that you have to think about how you can do things differently when life returns to normal. Have a great week.